Hello, welcome to this new series, which is gonna be much more focused on like tutorials. And because I found that if I watch Let's Plays that are much more focused for like doing stuff for beginners and explaining as much as possible, I'm able to learn a lot more, right? Versus just basic tutorial videos. They are good, but it's kind of like without context. So this is what that's for, because I feel like there's not that many videos on Plutocracy. I would kind of like to fill that gap. So to start off with, basically I would always want to start in Texas. And the reason why is it has all the industries in there, which is very nice because you have more opportunity to like get into whatever, and also just there are more companies overall. I'm gonna name my guy as Jack Sterling, which is not my real name, but I feel like it's a good capitalist name. And I'm also gonna play on the hardest difficulty, except for the opponents, because the opponent, it makes the game a lot harder because you have somebody who's actually like good at the game. The actual AI or the NPCs, they're all right, but you're able to really like monopolize, and the opponent is really like, it basically just does that too. But otherwise, I'm gonna turn on all the hardest things, and the reason why is because I'm pretty good at the game, so I should be able to, make it. Next, I want to change these to all the hardest things, which you can also go in and educated, which technically is the hardest, but you can run for office. So for now, I'm just gonna go university, which is the second hardest. And basically what this does is it makes it more difficult. So first of all, you need more influence, but second of all, you're gonna get worse prices when you buy privately traded shares, which we'll get to a little bit later. But generally 77 is the hardest you can go, unless you add an opponent and like you're uneducated, but I just don't like to play like that. And I'm also gonna just change my color so I fit Jack Sterling a little bit more. Okay, so now that we're in, basically the first thing I want to do is just open up the map and turn off the tutorials, because I'm gonna teach you stuff anyways. So talking about the map, this is like basically all the states. And if you have an opponent, they'll also show up on here with a little circle. And sometimes they start in the same state as you, but there's a bunch of different states, so the chances of that are pretty low. If you click on the state, this is where we see all the companies. So there's a few things that we really want to pay attention for. The first two are not nearly that important, but the market cap is important. So the smaller the company is, the easier it is to get that 51%, so you can start to do more things. But the problem is it's often privately traded, which first of all, you have to have a certain amount of influence. And so in this case, we can't actually buy into it until we get our influence up. But secondly, once you have the share, it's very difficult for you to exit, just because it's not a publicly traded company, and so you can't sell it on the stock exchange, which is this window right here. The second thing we want to look at is the profitability, which is, and also larger companies are more stable, obviously. But the second thing is profitability, which is basically pretty self-explanatory. It's how profitable they are. So generally, they're gonna grow faster, which increases, your assets. But second of all, they're more likely to pay a higher dividend, right? And talking about dividends, the next thing is this. And so basically, I recommend not going for 100%. And the sweet spot is between 85 and 90%. And because at that point, they can still grow. And if a bad event happens, they can recover, but you still get a decent amount of dividends, so you can just reinvest to diversify, whatever, right? So basically the three things I really want to look for is a low market cap, but it's still publicly traded, it's profitable, and it's between 85 and 95% dividend. And the product price is important, but not at the very beginning. It's only once you start to make these holdings. Hello, I just want to quickly ask you guys to please like, subscribe, and comment. It really helps out the algorithm to give me more impressions, and then it allows more people to see this and also discover the game, right? Because obviously, like, there's selfish reasons. I want my channel to grow, but I feel like there's so many small gems that really nobody is covering, and that's part of the reason why I want to start this channel, because like it's a shame. Like, these games are so good, but they just don't have a lot of, players if you look on Steam charts. But anyways, thank you for watching, and leave a like, comment, and subscribe. So for now, what we want to do at the very beginning is look for a very profitable company that's big enough to be publicly traded and that's not at 100% dividends. So this is not good because it's private. This is probably going to be private. This is probably going to be private. Generally, if it's below $15,000, 15 million market cap, assume it's private. And this is not private, but I mean it is private, and we can buy into it, but again, we're going to be stuck into it, which we don't really want to do. Next, we look at this. Again, that's not a good option, and this is decently profitable, has a decent dividend rate, which we could just increase, and it's pretty big, which I guess doesn't matter too much. Because it's more stable, so we're a lot less likely to lose our money. And finally, it's actually at a very good price because it's probably going to go up. So we're just going to quickly buy in and put it to next event, which is basically the next month, and just see how it goes. Oh, we probably could have also increased the dividend, but yeah, we made our money, and so now that we own a little bit of the company, we can go in and call a vote. And if we have more than 51%, you can just change whatever you want. If you have lower than that, then you can just increase it by 1 point at a time. And generally what I want to do, if it's a company I want to stay in, oh well, they rejected it. But if it's a company I want to stay in at a medium to long term, I want to have this max work plan, and also I want to have 90 to 95%, and they have a pretty good reserve, so whatever, I'll just set it to 95. That's approved. And also max out the workers, so we're able to get the most bang for our buck. And now if we look here, you can see that our income is increasing. And if we look here, this is our ROI, which is actually quite low for the beginning of the game. Basically, but then again, this is a big company. So because generally the bigger the company is, the lower the ROI is gonna be. And the smaller it is, then the higher ROI. Like with small companies, it's not uncommon to get between 10 to 15, maybe 20%. And with really large companies, expect 2 to 5%. 5% is actually quite lucky. But either way, this is all right for now. And it actually increased. So what we can probably do is we can probably sell a little bit. So let's say we sell 25,000. So let's say we sell 50. Actually, let's go 90, which is good. And we want to go into a different company. And so this is basically going to be our playing company, playing money that we day trade with. And once this stock dips a bunch, we're going to take this money and reinvest it in our main company that's a lot more stable. But for now, I think we're good. And so we don't forget, I want to see and increase this. And basically we just want to, okay, whatever. Basically want to try to increase this to 100% to get the most money, most bang for our buck. And this did give us a little bit of money. So actually, let's see how much dividend was for this. We got $700. And what did we buy it at? Bought it to 44. So we're really not losing that much money. But I really want to do this because this dipped so much. And if you look at this, we sold at 286 and we bought at 246. So we actually got a lot more shares. As you can see, we got 35 more shares, and if this is going to be our long-term company, it's actually quite a smart buy. And try to increase the work plan again, and they really don't want to do that. Now you kind of have to be careful because in this case I don't really care, but if it's like a company you want to progressively buy in, every failed vote, or if somebody votes against you, it decreases their opinion slightly. And now if you look at the relationship, they're considered the enemy, so we can't actually buy anything from them, as you can see, right? So if it's a company you want to continuously buy into, be very careful because it's kind of difficult. There are ways to do it, but it's kind of difficult and annoying to get them back to 1, and then you can start buying stuff. And the higher the opinion are, the better the deal you're gonna get. So yeah. But for now, there's really nothing else we can do, so we just want to go to the next turn. And it increased a little bit, and actually I'm just gonna buy in again because again, this is our long-term company, but it is kind of risky if it does go down, and just really try to push this through. And luckily it did go through this time, but that's pretty much it. So now we want to look at our ROI, and if we continuously like try to buy the dips, our ROI should climb overall. And if you try to sell high, which is a bit risky, generally you just want to reinvest your dividends, then, you know, because see, we can sell here, but what if it continues to go up, right? Maybe it'll go down, but we just don't want to risk it. But for now, basically what I want to do, what I generally do is if it's above the all-time high, I'm more likely to sell a little bit, and if it's below the all-time high, I'm more likely to buy in. But because it's like basically at the all-time high, I'm not gonna do that. What I am gonna do is try to get to this company and buy in, and the reason why is it has a really high share price, so it's larger and more stable, and the chance of it going higher are pretty high, and we can just confirm it. Yup, 291 million. So it is a pretty big company. The risk isn't really high, so I'm just gonna quickly buy in. And we'll go to the next turn and see if we're right. And with day trading, we actually were. With day trading, you want to be a little bit careful because if you're wrong, then that's not good. And we made a nice little profit. And same thing with here. Let's see if this is the lowest one. This oil company is pretty low. So generally, I would say the best long-term companies are steel companies, and the best day trading companies are oil companies because these are much more volatile. And so we can buy in again and just continuously go in. And once the metal company has a little bit of a dip, that's where we're gonna buy in. So in this case, we got lucky because this went really high, this dipped, so we're gonna again buy in, and let's see if we can increase the work plan a little bit more. And yep, it got done. Now this research is very important, but because it makes the company technically less profitable, at least in the short term, the AI is never really gonna push this through. So don't mess with research until you have your own company, and then max it out is generally what I do. But for now, we don't have enough money. But actually, let's look at the ROI. So the ROI is still around 9%, so that's pretty good. And okay, so this went up a little bit. This has a strike, which I don't want to mess with, but actually this looks like a good purchase for now. And like I said, those oil companies are very volatile, so I think they're a very good option for day trading. Or not day trading, but swing trading technically. And I want to see how much of a profit. We did make a profit, so I'm gonna exit and just continuously do this. Okay. It did go down 5%, it went up so much, it doesn't really seem like it. But I think this would be a good thing, although let's check this company. No, we're not gonna want to go in. We just want to put our money here and hopefully it'll go up a bit. Like I said, oil companies are the best ones, but you just want to take your opportunity as they come. So let's look at the history. We did make a slight profit, not the most, but actually now we want to go back into this original company. And then that reminds me, let's try to increase the work plan again. And it did. So now let's look at the ROI. It's a little bit higher, so I think that was a pretty good idea. And we just want to build up as much capital as we can. And this went down 12%, so we want to buy in a little bit more. And I think once we reach maybe $250,000-$300,000, we want to start fixing our reputation, because the way I started to make the game a little bit harder is I started at the very beginning. So we want to basically fulfill ambitions, which we'll get to a little bit later, but that does two things. It gives you a reputation, and then once you have max reputation, it gives you agents, which a lot of them are quite nice, or it gives you like opinion with people. But there's other ways to get opinion. This is just like the best way. But those cards can be very, very useful because they can help you with the events, but also they can kind of like fix relationships, they can make your company more profitable, they can destroy other companies. So overall, I think it's just a good idea. But for now, I think we're good. We can just go to the next turn. And we were right, and this was right. And you can see both of these are still companies, so they're pretty much gonna do the same thing. And that's why I like to stick with like companies that are not the same as my main company, because if this goes really, really high and this goes really low, then we can just like flip-flop. But for now, I'm not gonna go with this because I don't want to take the risk. Maybe you'll recover, but I just don't want to take the risk. This seems like a much better idea. So just go in and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so with this one, basically you can see out of business for 1 quarter, but and if you click on this one, you see suspended. So the difference between out of business and suspended is with both, you aren't able to take any actions until this wears off. But the out of business is worse, and the reason why is you don't get any dividends, right? So suspended, you can't make any actions, but you get your dividend. Out of business means you don't get your dividends at all. So overall, this is better. Now the only problem is you lose reputation, but because we're at minimum reputation anyways, it really doesn't matter. And we already made our purchase for this month, so it doesn't really matter. But if we go to the next thing, we can see that it took off and we can sell it because it was only for the turn. So actually that was the best time for it to actually trigger, and we don't want to buy in. I mean, we could technically, but I think this is probably a better purchase just so we're able to day trade. Although we probably do want this to dip a little bit more because our fund is starting to like increase a lot. So now with this one, you can see Renowned. Now, Renowned pretty much always go for it. And the reason why is because Renown adds to your influence permanently. And there's different ways to get Renowned. And in fact, once you get an office, it's much easier, albeit expensive. And influence is very, very useful in the beginning, mid-game. Later on, you have like an insane amount to your wealth modifier. But at the very, very beginning, always take the Renown choice. Even if we lose a little bit of money or opinion, it doesn't really matter as long as you get the Renown no matter what. And we did lose a little bit of money, but it really doesn't matter. Debt doesn't matter as much. And how much did we buy in for? We did make a slight profit, so it doesn't matter. But even if we didn't make a slight profit, we're still getting slight dividends off of it. So really you're not losing as much money as you would expect. But it dipped, so we just want to quickly put in our money. And while I do that, now we're at 11% ROI, so that's very, very good. And while I remember, increase the work plan again, so now let's look at the ROI, even better. And that's pretty much it. You just want to day trade until you get to a decent amount of money, and this is kind of a risk. Maybe we should exit, but for now it dipped down, and let's increase the work plan again while we can. Basically it takes a month, so if you started here, you have to wait an entire month to like actually change it. But yeah, now we're pretty much done. Now we just want to leave this company alone, and if there's good opportunities with a big dip, buy it. Otherwise, you know, it doesn't. We probably want to diversify because it would really suck if this company starts to go downhill and we lose all our progress. And yeah, so anyways, I think this is a good option. We want to diversify a little bit. And I think once you have a little bit of a position in the other company, we're probably going to want to... Actually, no, let's do it now. So we sell this. This went up quite a bit. And we want to fix our reputation. We probably don't need to do it right now. Yeah, I'll probably leave it for next episode. But this is an oil company. Buy in a little bit more. And just continuously do it more and more until we get more money. But I think once we reach a little bit more money, then we're gonna start messing with this. So this company is bad. what do we buy in at? So it's a slight profit. And how's this going? Yeah, just go in. And don't panic buy, because again, you're getting that dividend. So even if it technically, oh, we should have waited. Oh well, a strike is temporary. It's gonna damage you a little bit, although let's see the cash reserves, because that might have been a mistake. Okay, yeah, they're still in strike, so that's why their income is screwed. As you saw at the last minute, it did recover. Well, hopefully it recovers a lot. But that's a good opportunity to actually move into a different company and just leave this one alone. And hopefully it just makes us money in the background. But generally you want to diversify a lot, and yeah, diversify in a different company actually. So sell this, and then where was that company that I was looking at? Yeah, we're probably gonna go into this company. And hopefully this recovers, but again, we have so many dividends off of it that it doesn't matter nearly as much. And just continuously buy into companies. And so the eventual goal is to try to get a private company, 100% of the private company, so then we can start to really mess with supply and demand. We can start to use the holding mechanic and overall just make us a bunch more money. Right now, because the thing is, all these companies are kind of out of our control, and so we can kind of get screwed if we're not careful. Yeah, sell this and try to just get a different company. This seems good, and hopefully this recovers. Let's look at their income. Yeah, they do have a good income, so they should recover. I don't know why they're not. But what I think will probably happen is that strike was really, really bad. It destroyed a bunch of workplaces, and so they're making a lot less money than before. But that's really why you diversify. Just so like if one company just dies on you, it's not the biggest deal because you're still farming the dividends. And actually, okay, so what company is Perez Oil? So when you get this event, basically what you want to do is look at these percentages. So difference isn't really big, but we don't want to have this guy be an enemy, so we're just gonna, if it's like a big difference, like this is 80% and the bottom one's like 10%, yeah, take it. But because the difference isn't that high, it's probably best to go for the option. But look at this company. So Purple Corp Oil, they're probably much more profitable than this company. Also, because they bought and merged with this, they're going to have a tech advantage. So I think this is going to be our next company we really want to focus on. So Purple Corp Oil, buy it, and if they indeed do buy it, then we want to go in and like put all our money in there. So Purple Corp Oil, just find it. So profitability, Purple Corp Oil. Okay, so here it is. It's not super profitable, but its dividends super low, and it's a really big company. And the reason why I say the dividend super low is because it's not a big deal. Is because again we could increase it. So we bought in, we increased the dividend to let's say 95%, and the AI should say yes because they're greedy and short-sighted. But then again, we are kind of too. And increase this, max out the workers, and now let's see what the ROI on that is. It's not the best, but it's stable. And yeah, this ROI really took a crash, but whatever. Actually, what I'm probably gonna do is just exit here. And let's look at a good company. Although, yeah, I do think this is our next investment opportunity, just because of that tech advantage. Maybe not long term, but for now, I do think it's worth it. But otherwise, we're just gonna trade, and increase the work plan. So, increasing the work plan is good and bad. because it can lead to overproduction, so it can kill the company eventually, but in the short term, it can make you a lot more dividends. So, maybe just be careful to increase it to the max, but, at the same time, it's like not the biggest deal. But just continuously, go in and out of companies and increase our position as much as we can. Whatever. I mean, we couldn't afford it anyway, so... Actually, no, never mind. That's not even really what I'm trying to do. I want to increase the work plan. So now let's look at the ROI. Again, not the best. But I think this is more of a growth, not a dividend company. And I think it has a lot of potential. Yeah, a lot of these companies are actually not doing the best. Yeah, just sell out of this one. So, we actually have a little bit of money to screw around with. So actually what I'm probably going to do... No, I'm just going to continue day trading. Not really a good opportunity, but whatever. It's only 20 grand. So it doesn't... Oh, I should have picked the other one. Okay, never mind. We're lucky. But right now we really need that dividend, especially early on in the game. Okay. Yeah, whatever. I mean, technically we're losing, but it's better to actually get a good position in this one. And hopefully it was not a bad idea. Okay, it was not. So how much did we buy? We bought this. So what I'm probably gonna do... Nah. Yeah, I'm probably gonna sell 100 shares of this. Just to diversify a bit. And then buy into this. Okay. And that was actually a really good idea. Complete accident, but there we go. So now, with basically the same amount of money, we have 1.5 times the amount of shares. So that's quite nice. Or a little bit more, but that's what a dividend is for, right? And again, so it's very volatile. So yeah, we're probably gonna sell another 150. Yeah, just diversify and buy back in here. And as you can see, it's just slowly increasing our position, slowly increasing our net worth, and that was actually quite nice. Okay, so now we got an achievement, so I can talk a little bit about this. So now you can get an upgrade, and you can actually just look at your achievements directly somewhere here. And I would say that right now, this is probably the best thing. Eloquence and psychology is probably the best thing, because at the very beginning, your influence is something you really want to deal with. Although, why do we have so much? Oh, wow. Okay, so the reason why we have a bunch of influence is because one of the events gave us, made the chief of police loyal to us. So if you see here, this guy is loyal, so he's giving us a bunch of influence. So actually, we don't really need psychology right now. That was pure luck. You can do things, use agents to not make it luck, but eloquence is definitely the right option right now, which just increases the amount of turns it takes to buy things, which we'll talk about in a future episode. But for now, I think I'm just gonna go to the next turn, and yeah, sell here. Probably don't buy in. Probably don't buy in there, but this seems like a decent idea. And to be honest, church is not really that useful. So refuse, the consequences don't really matter. So whatever, we'll just go ahead with it. But I think that's where I'm gonna leave off the first episode. hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully it's useful, and I look forward to like explaining more and more advanced concepts so you can easily become number one and just dominate and become a monopolist. But thank you for watching, and hopefully you guys enjoy.